A very pleasant evening to you out there. Many thanks for joining us on another edition of the program National Talk on Equa Television International. My name is Joyce Jakada, and tonight on National Talk, you will recall that the Senate, under the leadership of Senator Godswill Akpabio, suspended Senator Abdul Ningi, senator representing Bauchi Central Senatorial Zone, over allegation of 3.7 trillion naira budget padding. The senator was suspended for 3 months after a long storming session at the Red Chamber on Tuesday. Ningi, during an interview, claimed that 3.7 trillion naira was not allocated to specific projects in the 2024 budget. He stated, "For the first time in Nigeria history, we are operating two different budgets. One budget was approved by the National Assembly and signed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the other was implemented by the presidency." Reacting to the development, Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has expressed full support for Senator Abdul Ningi, who was suspended by the Senate for 3 months, emphasizing the importance of preserving dissent within our political landscape without resorting to punitive actions. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, in a statement on Thursday, warned the Senate not to collude with the federal government and deprive the people of good governance, especially in view of the prevailing situation in the country. This was as he also condemned the action against Senator Abdul Ningi, saying suspension without investigation only fueled the crisis. To discuss the alleged 2024 budget padding, I'm now joined by Mr. Manasseh Gashon, a socio-political analyst. Good evening and welcome to National Talk.
Good evening.
It feels good to have you despite your busy schedule. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Likewise, I'm happy to be here.
All right, let's kick the ball rolling. Alleged 2024 budget padding, and this has generated a lot of reaction. You will recall last weekend, Senator Abdul Ningi, who was representing Bauchi Central Zone, actually granted an interview to BBC
House.
Yes, and then that generated a lot of reaction from that interview, and people were asking questions around integrity of the 2024 budget, because he said apart from the 25 trillion naira that was presented, there was another budget. In fact, he was highlighting that there was 3.7 trillion naira padding on the already budget that was implemented, and that generated a lot of reaction. It was more like a picture of deceit that was painted. There was a picture and questions about transparency, corruption, even at the National Assembly. People speak to the integrity of members of the red chambers, and so while you look at the budget as the estimates of the income and the expenditure of a particular year, a lot of people will tell you, for us, the budget is the cornerstone of the nation's annual planning as well as development. But if issues like these are coming up, issues around padding of the budget, so it means like something was just screwed in, like just added something to what was already agreed that people do not know about. And so questions around integrity of the 2024 budget, talks about lack of integrity. There were also talks about suspension of even the Senator Ningi without investigation. You will recall that on Monday, while he was addressing the press, he said he was not scared. He has documents to back what he was actually saying. So even if it was even going to cost him his seat, he doesn't mind, because the position for him is transit. So you're there today, tomorrow you're not there. In fact, he made reference to the fact that 8 years ago, he was not at the Red Chamber. So some people from even the Senate allege that, oh, this is just an attempt, civilian coup against the Senate president, of which he said it has failed. So questions around Nigeria spending so much, borrowing so much, but at the end of the day, we're doing little. And when you look at the rowdy session that's at the Senate on Tuesday, it was more like a question of who get what. And then somebody saying somebody gets more than another person. Some people are saying, no, I didn't get anything. But I would actually like us to watch, before I get your opinion on the whole allegation and claim by Senator Ningi. So let's watch some of the reactions from the Senate and even the defense from Ningi.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central of Bauchi State, and of course, a member of the Appropriation Committee of the Senate, Mr. President, from the onset, let me concur to about 80% of the translation read out by Senator Yai. I think they have done a fair job, except on some issues that they could not understand. First, I have never said somebody was blinded. Secondly, I have never said the budget was flooded. Mr. Chairman, the beginning of this brouhaha started with this text, and by your leave, I will read. For the first time in Nigerian history today, we are operating two different budgets. One budget approved by the National Assembly, signed by President Bola Tinubu, and one signed and one implemented by the presidency. The one approved by us is 25 trillion, while the one operating by the government is 28 trillion. Apparently, we discovered 3 trillion was inserted into the budget without location. This is the highest budget pattern happening in Nigeria. History under Senator Akpabio, taking place under the watchful eyes of Senator Akpabio. We resolve as people representing to see Bola Tinubu on this issue with facts and figures, to ask him if he's aware with this embarrassment or not.
It is not about Ningi now only. If we are talking about Ningi in this room, but it is about all of us outside. This thing has happened. It has happened. And Ningi was wrong. It was wrong. In the first instance, if you all remember, this thing reared its head before. When, after presentation of the budget, there were allegations from the North that it was skewed in favor of the South. And the figure was even posted on our platform, the Northern Senators Forum, by Wadada, and I spoke to him this morning. The total capital in there was 8.9 or thereabout, but the total of the said skewedness total to 15 trillion. And I told them from the word go, this thing is wrong. So it died down. When we engaged the senators, the consultant, it was agreed by the Northern Senators, quite okay. And after that, Kau and Ningi approached me and told me that there are certain things in the budget that were not right. I said, bring it. They said, no, we are going to talk to Senate President, and I should be there. I said, no. If you are sure that the North has been so changed, put the figures down and let's go public. But that was not there. Wait. And it's very important the whole world knows that that is not going to be possible in this country. Thank you.
Number one, I stand with due respect to say that what my big brother, distinguished Senator Abdul Ningi, who I respect so well, planned to do or set out to do was tantamount to a civilian coup, which has failed. And in doing this, he wanted to use the platform of Northern Senators Forum. God bless all those who have associated themselves as members of Northern Senators Forum. Number two, I pay glowing tribute to His Excellency Senator Tambua, Aminu Wasil Tambua, and to His Excellency Senator Ahmad Lawa. Why am I doing this? They had very peaceful tenure and I was one of those instrumental. I'm also speaking as a Southerner for the first time. The attempt to take the election of the leadership of this Senate beyond June 13, 2023 must stop. 60-something senators voted for Godswill Akpabio. 40-something senators voted against Godwin Akpabio. The will of the majority. Every day, there have been a few, just a few. And that's one of the reasons I will pay tribute to Senator Tamboa. He didn't pretend about where he stood. But after that, some of them got up on the floor of this Senate and said, election is over. Let's work together as senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A few have refused to do this. And that's why it's always about Akpabio, never about the Senate, never about the House of Reps, never about the Office of DG Budget. All of us pass this budget. Never about Mr. President who signed this budget. It's always about Akpabio. We have a momentum. This is a defining moment for all of us to say, if we're going to have a stable Senate, let us have one. It is not about North and South. It's about our rules. It's about the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's about our people who are hungry and deprived. Mr. President, sitting as chair, make no mistake about it. A few people who fear they will not give you more than 1 year to spend in this chair want to do everything possible before the 13th of June to remove you.
Of clarity, Mr. Senate President, my first prayer is that the Senate should suspend Senator Abudinigi for an initial period of 12 months. Suspend his entitlement and privileges as Senator of the 10th Assembly or 10th Senate, and make him stay away from the National Assembly during the period of suspension. Second,
I mean, these are some of the reactions coming from the senators having had the BBC interview that Senator Abdul Ningi granted, saying that, oh, there are actually some kind of padding of the budget with 3.7 trillion naira. And of more concern is the fact that he said the 2024 budget has a huge damage to not just the North, but the entire country, and that calls for concern. What do you make about this claim?
Well, thank you for this opportunity to be here. I think I would like to look at it from a different perspective. You see, this pardon of a thing, it might be true, it might not be true. But I always look at the mode of presenting this issue. I look at it as wrong. And my reasons are this. Though there are ethics by which the House should follow in carrying out its activities. So I think there is a routine by which Senator Ningi ought to have followed if he has a genuine concern for this country. And of course, if there are some suspicions about the budget, of course, he shouldn't have approached the Senate President in secret. These are issues he should have brought before the floor of the Senate so that it should be referred to the different committees to check into it. If he's not satisfied, there is a court of law, there is EFCC, there is court of conduct, tribunal, etc. He can go to them, but going directly to the press, that is wrong. I wouldn't subscribe to that. It is wrong. But let's keep that aside and look at the content of his, let me say, claims. So looking at the contents here, you see, from what I got reliably, let me quote Senator Sani first of all. Sheikh Sani of Kaduna State, the former senator. He said something interesting yesterday and I like it. He said, pardon is a common practice in Nigerian Senate. And then the interviewer asked him, what is pardon? He now said, pardon is when MDAs bring in their budget proposals, let's say for 5 naira, and then the Senate will approve 10 naira for them without even their knowledge. Wow. I don't know how the Senate have the expertise of my own field that they feel I should need this more than I myself. I don't know that. That is what he calls pardon. And then when they come back, of course, you know, according to him again, there are exchange of hands, even before the passage of the budget. We will pass this for you. You also scratch us there. And then if we allocate this to you, don't forget you asked for 5 naira, we allocated 10 naira. So the top 5 naira is not your own. That is what he calls pardon, according to him. So coming back to this, I think, just like Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, the former head of state of Nigeria, said yesterday, they shouldn't have thrown the baby with the bathing water. They should have really investigated the issue. But I saw politics going on in the Senate floor. They have now changed it into northern and southern conflict over power, quote and unquote. Some are beginning to say it is those that are against the emergence of the Senate President Akpabio that are plotting to remove him, while there was an insider that a report that I read yesterday from one of the national dailies claiming that it was the former vice president that they're championing his cause for 2027, so that Nenge is part of the movement. I get me? So of course that he has started the revolution against President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. That is it. Keep that one aside again. Then bring in the whole issues. To be honest with you, I also check the budget summary. The budget passed of 25.4 trillion naira is less of the actual figures the federal government is working with. Of course, Senator Jimo Ibrahim, the Senate leader, said something. I have a breakdown of what he says here. He said in 2 documents, volume 1 of the budget, he says in paragraph 1, 2, 3, and 4, the breakdown goes this way. He said 28.77 trillion was the budget that is being used now. I get me? He said also in paragraph 7, 8, this thus is the breakdown of the budget. The first thing he said is that there are some NDAs that are statutory in nature, that they don't break down their budgets.
But won't that amount to lack of transparency and even corrupt practices?
He mentioned agencies like the Judiciary, National Assembly, INEC, Universal Basic Education, and TED Fund, Northeast Development, NDDC, government enterprises. He said if you sum up all their own budget, that there is no breakdown, it amounts to 3.22 trillion. And that if you add it up to the 25.4, it's going to give you 28.77. Keep that aside. Remember, in the last 8 years of Muhammadu Buhari, twice he refused to assent to budget passed by the Senate. And his reason was that that was not the budget he presented. So we're beginning to see something. Of course, Senate President Bukola Saraki, the then Senate President, came out to say it was because of his row with the then President, that he never wanted him to become the President, Senate President. That was why he was denying them some privileges, that he was even refusing to assent to the budget because of that feud. But still yet, I still think something is fishy. Let's keep it aside. Then, of course, another senator got up to say that actually, that is Agom Jaribe from Cross River, I think. He got up to say that some senators got 500 million, while he didn't get a kobo. This is where the real issue is. Some senators receiving money, some senators did not get anything. Immediately he was saying this, the senators were shutting him up. Observe something there. He refused, he stood his ground. Somebody even stood up in his defense. Later on, the same Adam Indume got up to say that he got only 250 million. Later on, they cooked up another, sorry to use this word, cooked up, that is for the 6 geopolitical zones. They allocated some funds for them as constituency project allowance. To be honest with you, I read a lot about government and governance. I did not know where it is said that a legislature should carry out projects. That is exclusive function of the executive. Theirs is to make laws for good governance, go for that. If they have any project, they will lobby through the executive, not them inserting it into the budget. They are not the ones that prepared the budget. So that is pardon. Of course, they will tell us that they only inserted it and it is the executive that would implement it. I wish Nigeria, sorry, not even I wish, I think we wouldn't have places to step our foot in this country now. It would have been filled with projects.
True.
If they had been doing the projects truly.
You know, that's the question I'm about to ask, because a lot of times I've seen a lot of defense coming from the senators about the project. Oh, can Nigerians wait for 12 months to see if your senator does not do anything?
Your strength talking. They don't do anything.
And all of that. Issues about, oh, there are a lot of, we've already agreed on boreholes, solar panels and all of that. Nigerians should just give them 12 months to see. My question is this. This is not the first time we're hearing of certain agencies that there are no breakdowns to the allocations. But you just hear that, oh, agencies, government agencies like NJC, NDDC, TED Fund and all, there are no breakdowns. How can the people hold these people accountable when there are no breakdowns? Should we continue on this culture?
I like this question. Of course, there are laws establishing these MDAs. I don't know if the law permits them not to present a breakdown of their budget. That's a lie. Because the law expects you to be accountable at the end of every financial year. So refusing to break down, that is where the pardon is, if you understand what I said earlier. So as we cannot see, of course, you can't tell me that my wife will just come at the end of every month and I give her allowance for food and other upkeeps without bringing the budget for me to see. I might not go through it, I'll just look at the total. But she has drawn up a budget. You understand? So I don't know if they are ghosts and they are operating in a world that we cannot see.
But earlier on you were
we pay them. Are you getting me? It's our hard-earned resources. So they should be accountable to us. We are the owners of these MDS, not the government.
True.
The government is running it on our behalf. So we have the right to know what is then the importance of the Freedom of Information Act. You are a journalist. You should be able to tell me more. It specifies clearly that there should be transparency.
True.
It should be made public for everybody to see, even as a point of reference.
Very true.
I should be able to quote the budget of universal basic education because I'm in the teaching line.
You should also be able to ask questions.
Of course, I should be able to know if Nigeria is subsidizing fuel today or not, because NNPC should be able to make its budget open.
Okay, I'm going to ask you quickly about the concern that the Senate raised following the suspension of Senator Ningi. And he said what he did was detrimental to the National Assembly, talking about their integrity. In fact, the Senate President said the integrity of the Senate has been damaged.
Do they have integrity in the first place?
Because it's all over the social media. People are already reacting. You know that this 10th Assembly, unlike the 9th Assembly, that a lot of people spoke about, oh, this 9th Assembly was more of a yes sir kind of 9th Assembly. And when this 10th Assembly came, they came with very promising, saying, oh, we are not like the 9th Assembly, we are going to be this, with a lot of promises and all of that. And just few months into not up to a year into the administration, and a lot of issues questioning integrity. Is that enough? Because earlier on you said maybe the methodology of that the senator who was suspended, Senator Ningi, was faulty. Like there are other processes that he should have followed, because he came up with documents and there was no investigation. The senators just agreed to suspend and all of that.
Abuse of Senate rules.
So could that be, like, is that enough? The reasons that they have given now, talking about the integrity damage to the and then abuse of power, bringing out some of the things that he's not supposed to bring out in public. I don't know which of the things that the people are not supposed to know.
Are they more interested in their integrity or the welfare of Nigerians? Let me look at it from this perspective that he is fighting for Nigerians, for our own sake. So it is Nigerians' versus their own integrity. So tell me the truth.
But is it really about it? Because what we saw
I'm
at
just
the
saying,
red,
let me say.
yes, but
that
what we
is to
saw
say
at
is
the red
assumption.
chamber was more of who got what.
Good. Let me come to that. You see, I have said something earlier. Recall Senator Ben Bruce Murray, before going to the Senate floor, before elected as a senator, he made a promise, even with a vow, that every penny he earns in the National Assembly, he will make it public. Did he keep to his words? No, I'm just asking you, did he? We have the pastors that are there as senators. Immediately they reach there, they take that oath of secrecy and allegiance to the Senate, not to the Nigerian project. So they are defending themselves, but not the Nigerian project. I don't know if you understand me. So, but still keep that one aside. What I'm trying to say here is, do the Senate even have integrity to protect? I and you, for me to buy fuel to come to this place is almost 720 naira per liter. They are riding big jeeps at our own expense, enjoying the money, hard-earned money I pay as tax. That is what they are using in fueling the car. There are filling stations there in the National Assembly that they will just go fill their cars as they wish. They don't know how we suffer, I and you. Yet they went ahead to procure those vehicles. At how many 100 million per vehicle, only God knows. It died a natural death. Well, we have innocents here that can produce even better than those cars that will not pay import duties or anything. Did they patronize him? Keep that one aside. So which integrity do they have? Or is it the insecurity that they are working? All these, they are jeeps. They are bulletproof jeeps. If just last week, my sister-in-law was traveling to Abuja, I was not even concerned for her safety as a result of maybe accident on the road. My fear was bandits on the road, kidnappers, etc., etc. A senator, even that bulletproof jeep, they don't even travel in it again. They travel via plane. As a day before yesterday, a return ticket from Lagos to Abuja is 400,000. My sister, that is somebody's annual salary. Is state civil servant. For those in private schools, their annual salary is less than 100,000. So let's be realistic. Do these people have integrity? So what integrity are they protecting? They are just protecting their selfish interests, not any integrity. Let's not deviate. Still coming back to this place. They said that 500 million, somebody said, and they got 500 million. He didn't get anything.
He said senior senators, while him as the ranking senator, he didn't receive anything. And he said, let's not deny it. A lot of you here receive, and that was how everybody was shouting. I didn't receive.
They didn't argue. If you observe, none of them argued. The only thing they were saying, trying to shut him. But they didn't argue. He was washing their linen.
I think one of the senators said he will not argue that. He's not going to argue that. But then,
if this man had not mentioned it, I and you, would we have known? Just be honest. Will we? Just last week, or is it yesterday, the Minister of Power, was saying that Nigeria can no longer sustain the subsidy on electricity again. He was even comparing us to some other African countries. Very soon you hear that the Senate will pass it. That is the point I'm trying to say here. Don't you see this budget as part of the jamboree for them so that each proposal that comes from the presidency will have a smooth ride? Don't you see that?
You know, I'm particularly concerned about the impact of all of this. Because
which budget has ever had an impact on the
common man? I'm not really talking about the budget right now, but this kind of actions that we see in a time where hundreds of school kidnapped children are languishing where nobody knows.
Did they discuss it then?
Nobody's talking about that, and we're seeing issues around paddling. In fact, the presidential candidate of the PDP in the 2023 election, talking about Atiku Abubakar, was noting that when you have in a situation where you have budget being padded, at the end of the day, you always see padded poverty. I don't know what you make of that.
Well, we already had poverty, and he's also part of it. because he is among the people that sold almost every enterprise we have in this country. Of course, he has a reason to justify it, but he was in government, or he had been in government for long, and still now he's in the private sector and a key player. Of course, he's residing in Dubai. He will only come and throw a public press release and go back. He actually doesn't feel it because he did the same thing while he was in power, and he's currently enjoying it in Dubai. I and you here are feeling the brunt. He is only saying it now because he's not in power. If he was in power, he would keep quiet.
Are you concerned about the fact that statement like that? Because Senator Ningi said that it damages, that the 2024 budget will cause damage to the north, and then, in fact, the entire country. Won't that cause division?
Senator Ningi was in the last Senate, budget? Not for 8 years, but for 4 years. Has he ever raised an alarm? Has he ever? And why is he so concerned about the north? He is there. Yes, I know he's representing a particular constituency. That is his own Bauchi Central. But he's not a senator of the northern Nigeria. But he's a senator of Federal Republic of Nigeria. So why is he just calling north? That is one thing you should know. Then the second thing is, at times I subscribe to what the senators from the south said. Because they say that looking at this, the senators from the north are just against power shift to the south. And I may subscribe with them. Because almost everything this man kept saying is, they're not. And of course, we have seen press statements even from northern groups. Are you getting me? Well, to be honest with you, when the clock was on the northern side of the country, where were they that the southerners were complaining? They were quiet because they were the beneficiaries. The northerners were empowered by President Muhammadu Buhari. I'm saying it here. They were so empowered. They became very rich at the expense of the entire country. They were so rich, but still yet they have the highest poor people. I was discussing with somebody just last week. We have a lot of Almajiris on the street of Jos. But the northerners had the highest appointments in Nigeria. They have the highest projects in Nigeria. Where did it run to? To their pockets. I am not justifying the acts of the Biafran agitator. I will never subscribe to his agitations. But check out some of the things he mentioned. What was the Southeast benefiting from the past administration? Nothing, apart from the second Niger bridge or whatsoever that was constructed. Then are you going to say that it was even constructed for the north, for the southerners? Is it only southerners that will be applying that route? So let's be realistic. These people, well, let me even call it the northerners. I am from the central zone of Nigeria. When it comes to power struggle, the northerners will call us not. So as to benefit from our population to get what they want. But by the time the cake is on the table, we are not northerners. We are second-class citizens. Are you getting me? So I don't subscribe to these northern issues. We are enjoying in the plateau here. Despite our governor is not from the same party with the central government. I am not from the same party with him. I'm not here to mention party issues here. But we are enjoying. We are seeing the hands of the federal government. We have seen new roads being constructed. Are you getting me? Of course, as far as I'm concerned, the man, he has failed in so many places. Or rather, I say he's not doing well in so many places. But the North is too early for them to start complaining in less than a year.
So are you saying the suspension of Senator Abdul Ningi is justifiable? Like it is fair that the Senate have decided to suspend him?
I am analyzing in detail here. To be honest with you, I do not subscribe to that suspension. The same Senate president, in less than 2 weeks now, falsely accused governors of receiving billions of naira on a national daily, on TV programs, in church programs. He was there saying it to the extent that Sheikh Makinde had to come out publicly and call him a liar, bringing out facts and figures. We have not seen him apologize up till date. Later on, he admitted to have made a mistake. Why didn't the Senate suspend him for some months. Is that not a lie also? No, let's be honest. Assuming there is a protest now in front of Governor Mutfang's office, people are demanding that he must bring that 50-something or 60-something billion that he received from federal government. Who caused it? Is he not the Senate president? So why didn't he step down also as a sign of remorse towards being a liar? So my wife will always tell me that he who comes to equity should come with clean hands. Another person, in my holy book, it says that you accuse somebody of stealing. Do you steal? Isn't it? So, who is the Senate president to accuse Ningi? Well, those speaking in the Senate, we know it. They are just stage acting it. It's something they have planned already to come and carry it out there.
All right, so let's talk about the suspension, because as it stands right now, people from his constituency have written to the Senate saying
there is
that
nothing they can do about it.
They should actually, the suspension should be reversed. And then we've seen how that even members of the National Assembly
there is
are
a
saying
Senate
that
committee on discipline. And of course, the highest committee of the Senate is the general floor. And it is the general floor that debated and came to a resolution. So there is nothing, even a court of law cannot reverse it.
All right. So I'm still talking about the suspension, because I've had over and over again the Senate, members of the Senate saying, oh, it is lawful. They have, it's constitutional. They have provisions where they can take.
Protecting themselves.
Of course.
There.
But I want you to speak to the immediate suspension without scrutiny of even the documents that he presented. Like a lot of questions around the immediate suspension. You spoke about the senator, where we saw him standing to say, I'm a high-ranking senator, but I didn't receive anything. But some of you on the floor received the money.
That was what I said earlier. The Senate president should have suspended himself also for being biased. Why was he, I think, preferring other senators to others? I get me. Well, in political world, let me just divert a little. All animals are equal, but some are more important than others. There are the real actors.
Someone say you will never see them fight themselves until there is inequality in sharing of.
That is it. That is it. So when you see them fighting, it's because of cash. That is just it.
But do you think that there is a role that the central government now can play in all of this?
Let me be honest with you. The central government is the beneficiary of the suspension now. So which role do you want them to play when they are the winners now?
Because we've been hearing of closed doors meetings.
What do you want the president to do now when what he has wanted to happen has happened? If this man continues speaking, it is at his own detriment. So he has been shutting up. He will do nothing. Of course, why do you think he prefers Opabio there? It's for times like this. You understand? That is the politics we are talking about. You see, they will lie to you during election that we are here for the masses, we are here. I have said it here before and I'm still saying it's a lie. I have always told electorates, anybody that told you that God asked him to come out or say that I didn't want to contest, it is the masses that forced me to come out, don't vote for such.
We saw Ningi saying that he didn't even want to, when he was trying to say that he's still standing for what he's saying, that in fact, the fact that the position is transient, he didn't even, it was his people that pushed him to actually contest. So he doesn't care, even if it will cost his seat.
My sister, that is what politicians will tell you. None of them will tell you that they actually contested because they want to contest. They will tell you it is their people. It's a terrible lie from the pit of hell. It is just a terrible lie. None of them has ever. In Nigeria, politicians don't contest. It is people that force them. It is in other countries that people contest. There is something I wanted saying earlier. If it is his people that want to contest, truly speaking, assuming Nigeria is practicing a unicameral system, are you getting me? And then practicing the Canadian type of part-time legislature, that you are paid per sitting and per hours, and only when there is issues of national importance, you will be called to come and sit. After you have finished sitting, you are paid and go. You will see a legislature driving Uber. That is when you know the people that actually have the zeal for governance, and people that their people actually call them because of the real integrity. But this one that you go there in less than 2-3 months, you have already built mansions in location of your choice, and you're telling me it's a lie.
My concern is the current reality that Nigerians are faced with. The times, a lot of people are going through hard times. And you made reference to even the fuel, where since the removal of the first subsidy, though almost all the presidential candidates spoke about the removal, but
except Sowore.
True. A lot of people spoke to the methodology, though well-intended, but the methodology and then what we are seeing as follow-up to that. A lot of policies that have brought hardship upon the people. Why the people are struggling and dealing with this hardship and hunger. There are killings, there are attacks, there are kidnappings. And then the people who you should look up to that will defend you and ensure your safety. We are seeing them fighting over, this best. Some people got 500, some people got this, some people. So it's more like it is not about the people, but about personal pocket. It's about personal interest. And that is why some people will say, see, when election time comes, don't look out for people that only think of next election. Because even drawing from some of your explanation, it's more like politics playing in.
Of course,
it's
a lot of elections.
True. So you have people that emerge that do not care about what people are facing. It was just barely a week after the Senate president said that since the emergence of this administration, they have been able to deal decisively with the issue of insecurity, that we saw the kidnap in southern Kaduna, over 200, about 207 students with their teachers were kidnapped. After that, another kidnap again. And in the midst of all of this, while you expect your representative, your senators, to actually sit and take decisions that will ensure that the rights of the people is being protected. Think about a primary school child that is being kidnapped. For what? That you just choose to take your child to school. What's the assurance of the safety? Like the primary responsibility of the government is protect lives and property. But what we keep seeing is failure in that aspect. A nation is called a sovereign state because of your ability to protect your people. But when you fail in that and you still want to uphold the fact that, we are still a sovereign state, we are not a failed state, and then you see some of these attitudes being displayed by the Senate, what hope do Nigerians have, and what are your expectations of these leaders amidst all this hardship and the current reality that people are faced with?
Thank you very much for this question. You see, the first hope we have should be on ourselves, not on them. I've said it here before, and I'll still say it. We need to retire these old politicians. And how do we retire them? We have the powers of the ballot papers in our hands. At least I have seen some places in the last election that the people insisted and the right thing was done. But to be realistic, to some extent at times I agree with the former president when he called us lazy youths. Why do I say so? When a BB Nigeria is going on, you see votes, 20-something million votes from youths. But for them to go out, they even pay for those votes, but they will not go out and vote for the candidate of their choice or to vote out a bad candidate. They will not do that. But they are comfortable at their zones, comfort zone at home, to vote for some people displaying nudity. Sorry for using these words. I'm not a fan of that. Apologies to those that liked the program. You understand? But to me, like I said, that is madness. I get me. So the hope is in our hands. Unless we open our eyes, we will remain there. They have so much conditioned us in such a way that we have all even agreed that for a youth to get employment, you must have served under a certain politician. Go with him here and there, paste posters, disturb people's Facebook wall, your WhatsApp and everything, posting about him before he remember you when he gets into office and give. We have accepted that it is the norm. And not only do we accept it, we inculcate it into our culture. Then, unless we are conscientized to stop all these things, we don't have a good hope. I'm just being honest with you. Then again, if I should bring up an issue today, discussing about Nigerian situation, a person from a different religion with me will be quiet simply because the person in power is not from my own religion, is his religion. The people from Southeast now, like the previous protests going on, they said they will not partake in it. When asked why, their reasons was that they brought out a better candidate in the Labour Party candidate and we refused to vote for him. So it is your business. Continue. Are you getting me? The people from the north here are calling for a protest. Then the southerners are saying the time we are calling you for NSAS process, you refuse because President Buhari was was from your zone. Now you are saying we should protest. No, no, no. You must continue. So sincerely, the hope we have starts from me and you telling ourselves the truth. That enough of these politicians going into office, taking tea and putting the drop for me on the ground to lick. That I too also deserve the same. That is when it starts. Use the power of the ballot paper. Then, of course, be hardworking, creative, industrious. Are you getting me? So that we don't have to remain. My wife was telling me the other time that a certain young man came to stand a guarantor for somebody. And they asked him, what is your occupation? He said he's a politician. Somebody looking very tattered. That is a politician,
He's a
yes.
comrade.
You're very funny. You're a politician, yes. When she was telling me, I said, even the politicians, they have businesses, they have other occupations doing. So you are just a political material or political instrument. You're calling yourself a politician. That is the mentality we have now. Just go into schools because you're a class rep, tomorrow you... But do you blame them? They see the people stealing. The quickest way of becoming a millionaire in Nigeria is just join politics. Or, I like your question. Let's be conscientized. Put the right people in government. And then, of course, at your little place of work, do it as if you're serving your God. It is only then that you can look into the eye of your superior when he told you that or tells you to bring 10 million. You ask him for what? By the time he fires you, he fires me tomorrow, he's going to fire the third person, his attention will be called to ask, why are you firing these people? They have stood their grounds for the truth. But in a situation where we keep complying because we are also getting peanuts, there is no hope.
I was really concerned when I saw what happened last Tuesday, because what is our basis for coming out to elect certain people into certain positions? Is it based on relationship? Is it based on religion? Is it based on ethnicity? Because when you see somebody saying, I didn't want to, so what is the drive?
No, that's the truth. Somebody said that he didn't want to contest and you forced him. Then what do you want him to go and do there?
It's more like we just want to have a representative from our place. We want to have our own there, not because we've watched and seen that, oh, this person is actually competent, this person is patriotic, this person loves the people based on antecedents and pedigree. We've seen this person deliver. Like, we all have responsibility to make Nigeria better. We don't have any country outside of this to call our own. And it is up to us to rise up to responsibility, to check out the kind of people we put into power. Like I was saying earlier on, amidst the hardship, amidst the insecurity. Now, people, like you rightly said, people travel and they are not thinking of accident, but they are thinking of kidnappers. They are thinking of, oh, I cannot afford to pay anybody ransom. We had how that the federal government was saying, insisting, oh, we don't pay ransom and all of that. Can we make the environment, can we end this issue of kidnapping, end insecurity, so that people can live and then feel free, enjoy the dividends of democracy? At least let them have the right. These things are enshrined in the Constitution. But what you keep seeing is infringement on the fundamental right of the citizens, while the government, while people that are supposed to protect the citizens are busy fighting because of money or because of power. I just hope that going forward we are actually going to do the needful by ensuring that we put the right people on the seat, not because of some political affiliation should not be the grounds, but we should look out for people that are competent, that we know they can actually deliver. And our time is actually fast spent, but by way of wrapping up, maybe we have something to say to our viewers.
Well, in few words, I would just say we should trust in God, trust in ourselves, and then looking at what the members are doing there, let's not keep quiet. Speak out. Once if you have the opportunity, speak out. They know the power of social media.
True.
They know the power of freedom of information. That is why they are trying to shut us up. Buhari used the social media to become the president, isn't it? We shouldn't keep quiet. Let's speak. The whole world is listening. Time shall come when our voice will not only be heard, but our wishes will be implemented.
That's very powerful. Thank you so much, Mr. Gashon Manasseh, for your time on National Talk. Thank you for your perspective. Great
Thank
analysis.
you.
And to our viewers out there, thank you so much for staying with us on National Talk. Our leaders must understand that what makes a sovereign state is the ability of the leaders to protect the rights of its citizens. Democracy is the theory that the common people know what they want and deserve to get it real good. Until we come your way next time, you stay blessed.